Yes, welcome back to your exciting channel ever. Alright, classes. Today we present to you a C++ code which will sort any given array and display to the user using quick sort. Okay, so I remind you once again to subscribe to our channel and get more exciting videos. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so we need our libraries. The first one is the include iOS stream. The next one, which might seem new for some of you, but okay, I'm going to explain what it really means. Okay, so this is the standard library which we'll be using to generate some random numbers. So as you continue, you use these random numbers. We need to include this library in our code. So don't worry about this. Okay, so our first function I'll be creating right now is the swap function, which swap means we'll be taking one array to the other array when we are done. Okay, so this is an array, this array A, and this is array B. So we'll be swapping these two arrays using the swap function. Because we don't want to waste so much memory, we use the temp variable. Okay, so our A, then our array A. So be careful you don't mess the A with the array A. Okay, yeah, we have arrays and we have variables. Okay, so array A then gets array B, which is then assigned to temp. Anyway, temp or array B, one should be assigned to the other. Okay. Okay, so in quick sort, the idea is that we pick a pivot and divide the given array so that we compare each element to the pivot, whether it's greater than the pivot or is less than the pivot. So with that, we need a partitioning function, which might also be another new something to you, but don't really worry. I'm going to explain it here. Okay, so this is array A. Let me get the least index of the array. I call it low, and the highest index of the array I call it high. Okay, now we are creating our pivot, so let's declare pivot and the index I. Okay, so we say we are choosing the pivot from the highest element in the array. So let's say pivot get high. Therefore, if you have an array of 2, 5 and 10, 10 is then assigned to the pivot. Okay, yes, that's how we go about it. Okay, so you know that the for loop controls whatever happens to the pivot. Okay, yes, we say for I is equal to low, I is less than high, and we increment I. Okay, I is equal to low, that's the least index or the least number of the array, and it should be less than the highest number of the array. We increment it. So for those who can't write for loops, that's a simple for loop for you. Okay, so if our array of I is less than our array of the pivots, then what should happen? Okay, we say that we call the function swap. I hope you all knew that we've created a function called swap. Okay, so no need to explain that again. You can check it. Okay, so we swap using our swap function. Okay, then we increment the least index or the least number of the array. When you see low, it means the lowest number of the array, the lowest number of the array or the least one. Okay, because swap here again, bear in mind that swap is a function and can be recursively called at any given time in the code. So that is the good news about recursive functions. You can use iterative method, which will be showing you in some tutorials to come. So make sure you always subscribe and get notified. So we call low by saying return low. Okay, now I said we'll be using some random numbers for this code here. That's why we included that library called the random library. So we call int the array. We always use integer values for arrays because arrays should be discrete, they should be real and defined. You can't use double for arrays. So take note of that too. Okay, now this random function always selects any numbers for this code to run, but you have to give it a condition. Okay, so we say that okay, the random numbers should run from the lowest the pivots can only run from numbers that are present in the array. So you can't enter array of 2, 5, 6, 7 and the pivots is 10. No. Okay. So you say that your random numbers should be chosen from the given array and not outside it, because that will result in a fatal error. I hope you know that. Okay, so if you're done with the swap, if you are done with the swap, we continue. We return the partition that we created, and that should have a lowest number, that is int low, and int high. Okay, now we need another function which is going to do the real task called quicksort. But this time we don't use void because quicksort will return values to us. So we use int. Okay, int for the array. Yeah, another int for the lowest value, another int for the highest value, that is high. Make sure your declarations are always the same, else you have yourself found wanting at the end of the code. Okay, so this is the p index, that's the pivot index. We bring an if statement, a condition that when the least value, which is low, is less than the highest value, which is high, the p index should be equal to the random function we created. You should have variables a, low, and high. Okay, now we call quicksort function again for a, low, and high. These are the only variables we always have. No, okay, so before we go to the high, we have to declare the pivot. Pivot is very important. Pivot is always very important. Okay, then you go to the high one, which will also start from a to p index plus 1 all the way to high. Okay, so so we return 0 because earlier we said that this function will return a value. Okay, now before we even go to the user interaction, let me first check the code again because you always have to do that. You don't know where the errors may be. Okay, so now we have all our functions here. Random pivot partition. Okay, partition, partition, not partition. We have another one here. Okay, but this will cause no harm because it has been declared the same throughout, even though it's a mistake. Okay, so now we ask the user for a given number of array using our console out. So we say okay, enter the length of the array. Okay, enter the length of the array. Now we see in the length of this array, which can be any length. And we have to accept the individual arrays that the user will enter. Okay, so another for loop to control these numbers. We say for I is equal to 0, I should be less than n. N is the highest number because if you have an array of 20 numbers, then it means that I can only run from 0 to 19 when you increment it or you increase the counter. Okay, so what should happen for this condition? You say enter the individual element, and you have to take this into I plus 1 because each time it will increase. Each time the user enters any variable, it increases. So you create space for every variable. Okay, so now we accept it with our C in for I. Okay, so we call quick sort, which we have already done or defined it. So now it is about to be implemented. And n minus 1 should be the last size of the array. So for C++, we start from 0. So if you have 10 elements, start from 0 to 9. You can't have 10. That's why you put n minus 1. So we say that the sorted data is sorted data of whatever the user inputted is whatever we are going to print here. I always leave spaces between my code because I don't want to get confused when I'm very busy. You don't even know where the error is coming from. It's a good program practice to always leave spaces between your quotes. Don't really be concerned with time, but do what is right. That is my advice. Okay, so this is the array that we increased from the user input. Now we say that we return 0 again for the quick sort function because we need values. Okay, so now that the user can enter the values, we have to make it work. Okay, so let me go through this to make sure that it is perfect. We have our swap function, our partition function. We call the swap for the pivots and the lowest indexes, that is the lowest numbers. We create another function called random pivot partition, which will be randomizing the pivots. Okay, then we call quick sort again when the user enters the individual elements. Okay, so we are going to run this code here. So build. Okay, we run this with one warning sign. Okay, so we first have to save this. Okay, so I've saved the project. Now let's run and see what happens. Okay, said we have an error here. Okay. I've already defined the low and high indexes, so no need to define, and that's why it's giving us errors. It has already been defined here. The low and high has already been defined. No need to define when you are returning the function. Okay, so enter the length. It should have been enter the length of the array, because you just can't say enter the length. Okay, so here we have our quick sorted array. Let me change this grammar right here. Enter the length of array. Run again. This time we build and run. Okay, let's say we have 5. That is the length of the array. So we should have 5 different elements in it. First, okay, so it is sorted. So in this program, the pivot was randomized. It wasn't picked from the first or the last or the middle. But take note of this, that the pivot can be selected from either the first element, the last element, or the middle element. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Now you subscribe to our channel and you like and you share so that we reach 100K subscribers. Thank you and bye.